So the first apostolic trip of Pope Leo has finished, and a lot of people were anticipating, well, how would it happen? What would happen? This was a trip that was organized or was planned to happen to commemorate the 1,700 years of the Council of Nicaea, when the Nicene Creed was first said by the church as such. And it has been a very, very good trip. It has been an incredible trip. It's interesting to see that more Catholics turned out for the papal mass in Lebanon than for Pope Francis' mass in the Phoenix Park in Ireland. I mean, Ireland has 4 times as many Catholics as Lebanon has, and yet he had an incredible trip to Lebanon. He had an incredible trip to Turkey. He went to the Fanner, to St. George's. I have been in that church. It was interesting. A lot of the places that he went to in Turkey, I also visited when I was there working there some years ago, and it was beautiful to see the various events. He very well organized trip, and very pleased to see it. There was some talk about why did the Pope say the Nicene Creed without the Filioque. I don't know if the news agencies that are making a deal of this haven't remembered the other times when John Paul II or Pope Benedict, when they said the Nicene Creed in its original Greek, also left out the Filioque, because when they wanted to commemorate the creed in its original form, sometimes they leave out the Filioque. That doesn't mean that the church doesn't believe in the Filioque or the church is changing its creed. It's just some Greek Catholics, for example, in the East, when they say the creed, they also don't have the Filioque, and it's some of it's some of the arrangements that were in place when some of the Eastern churches entered into communion. But it's not to downplay the Filioque. It's just, the original creed of 1,700 years ago didn't have it in it. But anyway, apart from some of that, it was a very, very good trip. Some incredible scenes, visiting Saint Charbel's tomb, and I just thought it was very well planned, and the Pope did a great job, in my opinion. And he's back in Rome, and it's all over. There's been really controversy-free papal visit to 2 countries. Again, it's interesting to see how things develop, and seemingly next month the Pope will convoke a consistory in Rome, and we'll see what developments happen after that consistory. It will be interesting. Going back to my topic of promoting this mystic, Maria Valtorta. As I said, next year we are having a study conference on Maria Valtorta's works in Knock Shrine Hotel in Knock in Mayo. And lots of people have signed up. It's strange. Sometimes you do events and you're wondering, will anybody come? Other times you do events and it just, you don't need to promote some things very much. There seems to be a lot of interest in it. But anyway, I suppose kind of to recap, because some people, one person in particular, he wrote to me and he said, why are you doing it in Knock? This is a band, Maria Valtorta's band. The church has banned her. Nonsense, guys. The church never banned Maria Valtorta's works. They placed them on the index along with some Padre Pio's works, Saint Faustina's works. Luisa Picaretta for a time was placed there. There's a load of different people that at one time were placed on the index. But we are encouraged to read her works, and we have a signed letter from Pope Francis, no less, encouraging the promotion of the literary works of Maria Valtorta without giving any qualification whether they are of supernatural origin or not, just the literary works. So we're going to start to kind of study this mystic, and in the church, if the church wants to reevaluate Maria Valtorta, well, at least they'll have lots of study conferences, because over the 16 years in Italy, the various, you have you have a wealth of different studies that were presented at every conference. So when I was at the conference just past in October in Viareggio in Italy, where she died, they had a study conference for a whole Saturday, and it was very well put together. So you have different people presenting different studies on the works of Maria Valtorta. Because this is the fascinating thing about her works. You just can't discard them. You just can't say, no, she invented that. Well, how did she invent it? Just walk us through the process of an imagination inventing all these facts. And then you come to realize, well, it's kind of hard to invent that much. 10 volumes. With different facts. And I'm just going to read you through one of the strange throwaway facts that Maria Valtorta has. And this kind of struck me, so it did. I don't know if you've ever been to Greece. They have a wine called Retsina. When I went on my pilgrimages to Mount Athos, a friend of mine, he's a Catholic priest, and he had done some courses with the Orthodox in Thessaloniki. And so he brought me around all of the sites in Thessalonica, and one of the evenings we went out for a meal, and he ordered this wine, Retsina, which I had never tasted. It's kind of it's got resin in it. It's kind of got this pine resin flavor through the wine. It's served cold. It's drinkable. It's okay. I mean, it's an acquired taste in a sense that the first time you drink it, you're not, well, what is this? It's not white wine, and it's, but it's a drink that they drink in Greece. And in the poem of the Man God, there is this throwaway comment about this exact drink. And I'm just going to read you through something here. It's in the Valtorta Enigma, Volume 1 by Francois Lavert. It says, it's on page 193. On the Sabbath day, at the very beginning of the third year of the public life, Jesus is in Chorazin, where he cures the crippled, bent woman in Luke 13:10-17. Just before working the miracle, he gives his listeners an unexpected parable about a large block of blonde substance like finest honey, which a man asked an artisan to make into an ornament vial. He clarifies, it is a precious resin that one of my friends has, a small amphora, in which his wine acquires a precious taste. And this is in The Gospel as Revealed to Me, the new edition, in chapter 332.3. The little sentence, lost in the middle of an animated dialogue, could well go unnoticed, which would be a pity, as it evokes a custom well known to the Greeks of incorporating resin into wine. Columnella, a famous Roman agromist and contemporary of Jesus, who had studied winemaking, describes how wines were flavored with resin at the time. And that is the work of De Re Rustica. Today, the Greek Retsina, a souvenir of ancient wines, is still obtained by the addition of small pieces of resin from the Alep pine. Anyway, just kind of a fascinating insight. I mean, you're going to develop a work on the life of Christ, and you're going to incorporate various elements, and to incorporate that Greek custom of adding resin to wine into the poem of the Man God, or the Gospel as Revealed to Me. Like, it's one of these facts that one makes you think, bedridden woman in the 1940s in Viareggio who hasn't studied university, and all of a sudden has developed this work, this handwritten work. Because again, we have all of the notebooks of Maria Valtorta. All of the notebooks there are in a in a safe in Italy, in Isola de Liri. All of her original notebooks, unlike Anne Catherine Emmerich, where we have none of her notebooks because she could not write, and the notes were taken by Brentano later, and then they were incorporated into books that he wrote about the notes that he took. And Maria Greda, we don't have her original work to go back to study. But with Maria Valtorta, we have all of her original handwritten notebooks where she is describing what she sees and what she hears, this internal monitor that is dictating to her what she has to write. And so in the midst of these, you have a myriad of different things. Somebody sent on to me recently, re-quoting Mitch Pacwa's, his critical article about 30 years in EWTN about the work of Maria Valtorta. The thing to note is when people pick out specific elements that they say, aha, she can't have written this. She's talking about a screwdriver. They didn't have screwdrivers in the time of Christ. So case closed. No, this is all an invention. And yet, if you go through all of the chapters of Maria Valtorta is pretty clear in some passages to say, I see this, but I'm not sure. This is what I think it is. And she says this time and again because she's a woman from 1940s, the early part of the 1900s. She'd born in the turn of the century and dies in 1961. She didn't live back at the time of Christ. And so when she's seeing various scenes and she's trying to describe various things, for example, what is in the room, the carpentry where Christ would work with St. Joseph, she's seeing an implement and she says, well, it could be, it looks like a screwdriver, doesn't mean to say it is. And she's seeing other elements like some other flowers or plants or so forth. But it's interesting, this dictation, this moment where Christ is speaking about wine that acquires a taste of resin. I mean, the Greek influence is very heavy in Israel at the time, all across that region. In their clothes, and Maria Valtorta describes this. I mean, again, this is just one tiny element, one tiny sentence in the whole work, which just makes you think. There are a lot of moments when you're reading it, when she's describing it, she said, well, why would you describe it that way? Why would you say that? Where would you get the idea for even incorporating that sentence or that dialogue into the work? If it was going to be a work of imagination, even some semi-fictional works on Christ, where people like The Chosen, which takes great liberties about the life of Christ. I mean, you could look at them and say, well, okay, we know that this isn't factually true what you're presenting to us here. I mean, there's a whole scene in the Chosen where Christ is carving little toys and giving them to children. It's not, they kind of have developed it out. But if people looking at The Chosen know that there are issues there, they can pick out the faults. But the faults are there because it is a human work. When you read Maria Valtorta, a lot of people have been struck about, okay, well, gosh, you're seeing all of these 7 bridges over the Jordan at different. She's describing actual bridges, at different places, saying, well, there's a bridge here, and it's just below here. It's just below Lake Tiberias. It's in this place, and this is what I see, and this is the topography. And then you go to the site she's describing. So, Maria Valtorta, how did you arrive there, and how did you describe that? Again, I'm trying to influence you to study the readings of Maria Valtorta. I'm not trying to make you believe in the writings, or I'm trying to actually drive a a well, a search through her writings again, for people to search through and to study them, because there's a bigger picture here. Christ did live. He actually walked those lands. He was born and he died, and he taught. He lived. He had a mission, and he rose from the dead, and he appeared to many people. I mean, we're trying to bring alive the historical Jesus, but once you start to bring alive this historical Jesus in the writings of Maria Valtorta, the actual Jesus starts to come alive in your mind. You start drawing, and the actual Jesus in the sacrament starts to come alive. His teaching starts to come alive. Maria Valtorta paints this picture, in a very strange way, painting this picture of the gospel in your mind. It's like Tommy Canning was... Oh. This is a Scottish artist, Tommy Canning. I'm hopefully do an interview with him. And he has this art. But we were just discussing how art can bring alive. Just looking at a picture. We look at the Angel Gabriel here, the Annunciation, but he has some very famous pictures, which let me see if there's one here that I thought was good. Where is it? I think wait a second. I was here. This confession box picture. Okay, this one, for example, you can see here Christ on Lake Tiberias with his disciples. So you're instantly drawn into, by Tommy Canning's art, you're instantly drawn into a specific scene. So it's catechizing you in a sense. Art is catechesis. Beautiful chapel, it's a whole catechesis. You ever go into an Orthodox church? Everywhere, like every piece of the wall is a piece of art. Some people think that the Orthodox overdo it when it comes to church art, because it's just in your face. Wow, where some of our modern Catholic churches are so minimal, you would almost think we're back in the iconoclastic era, where we're getting rid of art. This is what happened in the Catholic Church. You walk into an Orthodox, and different scenes of the gospel, or different lives of the saints, but it is in your face. You're imbued with this image of the sacred. I love sitting in Orthodox churches, just sitting down, put myself down, and just spend a good half hour looking at all of the different art and maybe stained glass windows. In a Catholic church, Catholic cathedral, like St. Murdoch's here, you have all of the various stained glass windows. Right, so you've all of the art of this. You have some beautiful churches in Ireland. You go to Lough Derg, and in the Basilica in Lough Derg, you have these famous stained glass windows from beautiful stained glass windows, or in Christ the King Cathedral in Mullingar. Also, you're kind of at all with the beautiful fresco over the altar, the different side chapels. So it's a feast for the eyes. The art is speaking to itself. With the same thing with Maria Valtorta, she draws you into the art of the gospel. You know, this is the uncanny thing that Maria Valtorta is doing. She's drawing you into the art of the gospel, the art of Christ's words. I mean, we're there debating, is it of supernatural origin? Isn't it of supernatural origin? St. Pius XII said, just read it. No explanations are needed, of its origin. Just read the work. And I think Pope Pius XII kind of captured the whole thing, because we're there. Should we read it? Should we promote it? Should we study it? Should we not study it? Blah, blah, blah. Is it of divine origin? Isn't it? Read it. Because Maria Valtorta cascades you into the life of Christ, into his world, in a very strange way. And and there's no way that this bedridden woman in 1940s in Viareggio could have written what she wrote without some help. So that's why I encourage people to read. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you still want to come to the conference, 16th of May, Knockhouse Hotel in Ireland, you're more than welcome. There are still some places available. Just email me and I'll put you on the list. And again, just to remind people that this Saturday is the first Saturday. There's a big conference in Knock, in St. John's Rest Centre in Knock, so please come along to that. Father Marius and Bishop Keenan from Scotland are going to be there, and other speakers, so it should be a beautiful day. And anyway, God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.